Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show in which I find out how I can be a better person because of my skin color. And I'm coming to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Saturday. Suspicious Saturday. Yes, once again, we are diving into the wonderful world of race relations, I guess. Today, coming from the lovely jewel that is Seattle, I guess, what white people can do to move race conversations forward. It's specific to the skin color, I guess. I guess we'll find out. I am ready to find out what I can do, defined by my melanin count, to improve society. That sounds a little counterintuitive. Well, I'm sure I'm in the minority. But that being said, who's joining me on this journey of personal discovery today? Why, that would be Mr. Tickletrunk. Hello. Keeverdam. Hello. Matt Barnes. Hello. Wade Waleson. Hello. Check Your Logic. Hello. Raziel. Hello. Zeke Weiss. Hello. Asian Hippie. Hello. Joshua Wetzel. Hello. That One Servant of Satania. Hello. Anthrax Allen. Hello. Debate Fly. Hello. Black Belt for Christ. Hello. Swirl Blue. Hello. Zalbla. Hello. Mr. No. Hello. Shio Gorath. Hello. Mike Savage. Blarg. Blake Hanley. Hello. X4390247, hello. Jordan Herbert, hello. Megan Ring, hello. Killer Turnus, hello. Crimson Tiger, hello. Reason Vision, hello. Gunfox61, hello. Lurking Gopher, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. The Redneck Ram, thank you so much for the Dogcat Fox. How's it going? I don't know. How's it going, Dogcat Fox? Wowie, wow, wow. Seems to be going okay. Chicago Mike, hello. Zach Osborne, hello. Green Death, hello. Robert Pincus, hello. The Luke Skywalker 2, hello. And if I didn't already say hello, Keeverdam, hello. All right, so what do we got here? Well, first off, the bingo card is card B. B as in boy. And also, I was a very productive scribe light this morning, and I made an alternate bingo announcement video. So, if we get a bingo today, I'll be using that first, and any other subsequent bingo, I'll switch back and forth between the now 2 bingo alert clips. What does the new bingo alert clip look like? Well, we'll just have to hope, I guess, for a bingo. Dr. Cardinal, hello. All right, everyone. With that, get the video ready here. Start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will proceed.
I was facilitating a workshop on implicit bias to a group which included law enforcement.
Implicit bias. Well, that is effectively synonymous with unconscious bias and microaggressions. So I'm going to circle free space and on microaggressions, unconscious bias. Boy, oh boy. Starting off with strong here. Okay, a workshop about implicit bias. Sounds good. Everybody says they can hear it fine. All right. Kay Scholl, hello. All right. So workshop, implicit bias, do tell.
There were about 70 participants in the room, most of whom were white. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, particularly given it was a mandatory learning opportunity, and the fact that I'm a Black woman and a civilian wasn't going to help.
Okay. Mind reading assumes motives, first and foremost. Okay. I'm sure there's other things in here, but let's do one at a time. Let's see. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. I will give some more time before I circle that one, just for the heck of it. I don't want to get too staccato with this if I can help it, but we're already on our way and we're not 30 seconds into this.
Early on in the workshop, I asked one man how he identified racially. It's best not to assume because you can't always tell, based on the color of someone's skin.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Huh. Interesting. I'll keep that in mind.
I've made that mistake before.
Have you? Have you assumed someone's race? Have you assumed someone's, I don't know, value in some fashion on the basis of the skin color that you thought they possessed visibly or something?
His response, American.
You know what? Oh gosh, is that an anecdote? That you think somebody would be that smart mouth to her? I could believe somebody being that much of a smart ass. I could believe it. Let's see. And Killer Turnus says, Scribelight, I don't see how a mandatory thing can be an opportunity. Yeah, I saw that contradiction of terms a little bit too. So that doesn't necessarily contradict on point or argument, but that is an anecdote. Do I believe it is not true? I can believe it is for the moment. We'll see if it goes any further. Thank you, tall person. Hoy, all can't watch live. We'll watch in full later. Happy National Oatmeal Muffin Day, everybody. Well, I didn't have an oatmeal muffin this morning, but I did have oatmeal for breakfast. A little maple syrup. Anyway.
In that moment,
yeah,
I knew he was white.
Wow. Dog, cat, fox. What do you say to that? Wowie, wow, wow. Wowie, wow, wow is right. In that moment, I knew he was white. I'm circling make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. I think just on balance already that is valid. Wow, let's go over the card real quick. Anecdote that probably never happened. I believe that happened. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I would be surprised. Systemic institutional. Not yet. Weightless example. We have to get to some examples first. Word salad. Not yet. Leaves out vital context. We're probably on our way. Collectivize his own demographic. I'm pretty sure we'll get there. White supremacy. I'll be surprised if we don't. A list, not yet. Privilege, I'll be surprised if we don't. Equity, not yet. Plays victim, possibly. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, not yet. Wage gap, no. Patriarchy, no. Feminism, no. Diversity and inclusion, not yet. Marginalization, not yet. Childhood or family anecdote, not yet. Contradicts own point or argument, not yet. Benevolent condescension. We're not even a minute in, but I'm going to give it some more room here. So far I have circled free space, mind reading assumes motives, make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason, and microaggressions, unconscious bias. Moving on.
We don't know how to have healthy, productive conversations about race, racism, and race relations in this country.
Who's we? She who knows someone is white by their attitude.
Many white people grow up in towns where there are very few, if any, people of color.
Many do. How many is many?
Even those who do grow up in diverse communities will say race wasn't talked about. And then there are those are taught racism is a thing of the past.
And then?
So it's usually not until white people leave that town, go off to college, date a person of color, or join an organization where they began talking about race.
Oh, I see. Okay, so white people are inherently racist, even if they are in a town or a neighborhood that isn't all white. Not until they date a person of color or join an organization do they ever talk about it. Oh, okay. Thank you, Redneck Ram. Can't believe how blatant of an instaphobe she is with that admission. Knew he was white. Yeah. I think our speaker might be. Well, let's keep going.
Or even exploring what it means to be white.
What it means to be white. Placing a definition or a value on a skin color, are you? Okay. You do you. Thank you, Lancelot 652. Hi, scribe, some coin to Pepper Jack Pot. Oh, sorry, some coin to the Pepper Jack Pot. Thank you. Appreciate it. It will be used if today's presentation is any example.
But parents of children of color, tend to talk with their children about race. Most of us can tell you an early experience of racism. So by the time we become adults, not only do we understand what it means to be a person of color in this country, we're more prepared for the experiences we're likely to face.
Are you better off being taught that your skin color says something about who you are? I don't think so, but then I don't know.
Our differences in experiences and what we've been taught cause white people and people of color to take very different approaches to race conversations. People of color will often speak to our collective experiences.
Collective? Oh my gosh. Mr. Tickle Trunk, thanks so much. Never ceases to amaze how often definitions, approaches, assumptions, and categorization happens in the exact same way between alt-left and alt-right. Isn't that interesting? Collectivize his own demographic. I'm circling that one on the board. And plays victim. I'm going to circle that one as well. We are off to a roaring start, everybody. Already. Now, I didn't circle childhood or family anecdote because she was talking in the abstract. She needs to give something specifically about her own childhood or family. So let's move on.
For example, Black people will use language like we, us, and my people, acknowledging our identities make us a part of a larger group.
No. You are part of a demographic, not a group. And if you had white people, a white person saying, my people, I think you might have some choice words to describe such a person who would collectivize themselves in the white demographic. But okay.
White people, on the other hand, are encouraged to operate under colorblind thinking. They'll take three approaches that ignore the impact of race on our daily lives.
Yes, color blindness is a terrible, terrible, terrible way to operate in the world. It really is.
One common way white people will engage in race conversations is the universal approach. The universal approach is when white people react to racism by saying, we're all human, we all bleed. Why do we have to talk about differences? Talking about differences just divide us.
Okay, I'll be curious to know your rejoinder to that one. Thank you, this is Kyle. Hello, chat people and scribbles. Hello, Kyle. Thank you so much. Yeah, what a terrible thing to say. Looking past skin color to the person. You know, not valuing someone on the basis of non-determinative factors. God forbid.
Talking about differences doesn't divide us. It's not acknowledging racism still exists and not talking about it that does that.
If I don't talk about your race, if I do not use your race as a value factor when interacting with you or anything else, if it is functionally irrelevant in my perception of you or the world or other people, that's bad. Got it.
We're all human.
Are we, though? I don't know, because you seem to have a very, I don't know, dire perspective on certain people based on their skin color. I don't know.
We all bleed.
Yeah.
Y'all, before stepping on this stage, I didn't think to myself, I wonder how many watching will be human.
Well, okay.
That we're all human should be a given. Speaking universally does not move race conversations forward.
Why do we need to move race conversations forward? Why can we not move to a place where race conversations are irrelevant? Why can't we just do that? If I'm not practicing racism, if I'm not valuing someone on the basis of their skin color, if I don't want to talk about race because I see it as an irrelevancy, am I not moving forward the ideal where we get to a place where those things are as important to assessing someone as their hair color or their eye color? Maybe.
We do need to keep it as a part of the conversation because, quite frankly, we don't treat everybody in this country as if they're human.
Oh, yeah, like you versus white people, maybe? That they're just a monolith? They all have a hive mind? Not unlike you speaking for your own demographic. There's a hive mind.
But that's not what race conversations are about.
Oh, okay. I stand potentially corrected. What are race conversations about?
Another common way white people will engage in conversations about race is the individual approach. The individual approach is when white people talk about who they are as individuals.
Yeah, what a terrible, terrible thing to look beyond the superficial, non-determinative factors of someone's makeup and to the person that they are. I don't know, the content of their character.
I have children who are Asian. I work with someone who's Latino. My best friend is Native, and my favorite, I don't care if you're black, purple, blue, or green. When you try to hold them accountable for the thing they said or did, that was offensive.
Oh, hold them accountable for that thing they said that was offensive. Offensive because you decided to take it. And all of those things you just quoted are defenses against an accusation of racism. Now, personally, if someone accuses you of being a racist or anything else like that, your most healthy response should be, prove it. Not coming back and saying, oh, but this, that, and the other. But at the same time, you are accusing somebody of thought crime because you took offense to something they said, whatever they said. You are acting as the Inquisition. And any response that they give in opposition is obviously evidence of their guilt. Correct? Thank you, Jago Dragon, not participating live. Just wanted to throw a couple shekels your way, so have a beer on me. Well, thank you, Jago. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. All right, I would love an example of what our speaker thinks is offensive that isn't countered by someone saying, my children are Asian. It's just, what?
These are all attempts at colorblind thinking.
These are all attempts at trying to counter someone giving you a terrible thing because they decided to be offended by something that was said. But, okay, you go on.
I want to pause here for a moment and let my white brothers and sisters and non-binary friends in on a little secret.
White brothers and sisters and non-binary friends. Okay, so white people and non-binary people on the basis of gender are in a special category for you? You want to pause and let them in on a secret. Are you or are you not already talking to white people? I mean, isn't this whole presentation based around the notion that you're going to educate white people on how to move race conversations forward? But now we're doing an aside to white brothers and sisters and non-binary people. I'm about to circle word salad in a second here.
The moment you tell a person of color you don't notice their race, you're actually letting them know you notice their race.
Color blindness is not the most desirable term. It's the only one we've got, but there is a difference between taking it literally and taking it as a principle. It is not that we are blind literally to skin color. If you are someone who practices quote unquote color blindness, and when I say that practices color blindness, like it's some kind of religion or something. If you operate on a level where you do not take someone's skin color as a value factor in assessing them, their worth, their character, their mind, whatever, that's color blindness. It's not literally not seeing their color or their hair or their clothing or anything else. That is the weakest fucking argument. And I hear it all the time. It is so weak. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. We really need to hook up a turbine to Orwell's corpse already. Let's include Martin Luther King Jr. as well. Infinite clean energy. It is amazing, isn't it? That one quotation from Martin Luther King's speech, the content of the character, not the color of the skin. And yet here we are. Oh, well, Lexi Mads is here. Sorry, I didn't see you come in. Do I need to back up a few minutes? Well, I guess you'll just have to catch up. You might be Mads with power, but I'm in control.
I mean, think about it. When was the last time you met a white person and said to them, I just want you to know I don't see color?
Is that what people do? Do they actually say, I don't see color? I mean, okay, let's take it for the moment on faith that people actually do say to our speaker, I don't see color. Is she taking that literally? She must be taking that literally. It is not meant to be taken literally. But you're deciding to take it literally, which makes it absurd in reality. Therefore, you're dismissing it out of hand as a possible testimony that someone is trying or operates without being a racist. But you can't believe it. You can't possibly accept that someone could not assess you on the basis of your skin color. Mr. Tickle Trunk, anecdote that never happened. She's talking in abstracts. I will see by the end of this, but I need something a little bit more concrete, a little bit more detailed to call it an anecdote. She needs to say, I ran into someone who did XYZ PDQ. I mean, her story at the beginning where she's running the workshop, that was an anecdote. And it's one I could believe given her vitriol. So we'll wait and see.
Colorblind thinking comes from a good place.
Oh, does it really? Oh, okay. But
when I hear it, I think white people are trying to tell me they're not racist. They won't treat me unfairly because of my race, and they won't judge me because of our differences.
Oh, okay. So you do understand what the principle behind the idea of color blindness is. But obviously, white people are lying, right?
But what I want to know is, why does an important part of who I am...
No. Your skin color does not define who you are. And if you believe that your skin color defines who you are, I hate to tell you this, but you might be a racist. I know it's a shocking possibility, but it's probably true.
Have to go away in order for you to do those things.
Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit because I did cut her off. So
differences. But what I want to know is, why does an important part of who I am have to go away in order for you to do those things?
It does. What do you want me to assume about you on the basis of your skin color? Okay, I mean, you want me to see you as a black woman, not just as you, your name, or simply as another human being. You want me to see you as a black woman. So what is it that I, approaching you before we've even exchanged words, what do you need me to assume about you on the basis of your skin color? What discriminatory thoughts, what stereotypes should I possess in approaching you, knowing nothing else about you except for your skin color? Do tell me what racial assumptions white people need to have when approaching you. Because that is what you are telling us you want to have happen. You want people to assess you in some fashion on the basis of your skin color. And you say racism is bad?
I mean, why can't I be black and you treat me fairly, work on your bias, and become an anti-racist?
Oh, anti-racist. So you need white people to see you as a black person, making some kind of assessment about you on the basis of that factor alone. And that is to lead us to being anti-racist by holding as important the color of your skin as an identifier of you as an individual. Got it.
Colorblind thinking is a part of early socialization for white people.
Wow. It sounds so scientific, Sounds so racially scientific. I'm going to go back to the bingo card real quick. Anecdote that probably never happened. She needs to give us something that is a direct interaction between her and another person, something like that. She did that at the beginning. I can believe her anecdote at the beginning. Self-vilification or wretchedness? No. Systemic institutional? Not yet. Although, given the fact that she was talking at the beginning, I think it was police officers or something, we'll hold that. Weightless example. She needs to give us more examples. Word salad. What was the non-binary thing? What did non-binary have to do with anything? I'm circling word salad because that just doesn't even land. Like what? Thank you again, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Quote, I'm here to exterminate rats, unquote. But I don't have rats. Empties a box of rats on the floor. You were saying, you rat hoarder? Yeah. Yeah, it really is the Inquisition. It really is McCarthyism. Leaves out vital context. I need something that has some more specificity to it first. White supremacy. She hasn't said it yet. We'll wait. A list. Not yet. Privilege. Not yet. Equity. No. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. Not yet. Wage gap. No. Patriarchy. No. Feminism. No. Diversity and inclusion. Not yet. Marginalized. Marginalization. Not yet. Childhood or family anecdote. No. Contradicts own point or argument. I'm not quite sure what her argument is yet, but I sense a whole bunch of inherent contradiction. Well, actually, you know what? I take it back. She is against racism, but she wants people to assess each other on the basis of race. I'm circling contradicts own point or argument. That's an inherent contradiction to her words or her sentiments versus her actual words. Benevolent condescension. Yeah, I'm circling that one as well. Between how she's categorized the demographic to which she belongs versus the white demographic, and how some are victims inherently and the others are villains inherently. But it's okay, you know, I'm here to help. Yeah, that's benevolent condescension. Okay, moving on.
Did you know it's about the age of 3 when children begin to ask us all those questions when we realize we're not as smart as we thought we were?
Please do not go into it's about at the age of 3 that children start recognizing race. They start recognizing difference in things. They begin assessing things on details. That does not make them racist. Noticing difference does not then impart an ideology of hatred. And I know I'm jumping ahead. I'm being presumptuous, but give it 20 seconds.
Let's imagine there's a white child. She's 3 years old riding the bus. She asks
3 years old riding the bus. Okay.
her mom, "Mommy, why is that man so chocolate?"
You know, that's interesting because that's essentially how my sister assessed the world when it came to people at that age. She was around 3 or 4. And I think, and it's a very hazy memory because I was very young myself, but she either saw or met a black person, and probably for the first time in her life. And I remember her saying very distinctly, chocolate people. And it made her very happy. And that's about as far as it ever went because she was a toddler.
And the chocolate man can hear her ask the question. He's not tripping. He knows that when children are curious, they ask questions in this way.
Yeah, but
Who's he paying attention to? The mom.
Oh, okay. He's paying attention to the mom. Or are we going to judge the mom's reaction to this then? Oh, okay. Do tell.
He's probably thinking, I wonder how she's going to handle this one.
Oh, okay. Psychic hypothetical. All right.
And what do parents do in these moments when children ask questions loud enough so the person who is different can hear?
Apologize maybe, or just sort of smile awkwardly because, you know, little kids are little kids. Maybe. I don't know.
We shush them.
Uh-huh.
And what's the message that children get?
Oh, I can't even imagine. Do tell what a 3-year-old thinks.
Not only do they learn it's not okay to talk about differences, they get a deeper, more damaging message. It's not okay to be different.
Oh, wow. Wow, you must have springs in your shoes to make that leap. Thank you, Redneck Ram. I really hope someone stands up in one of her mandatory learning opportunities and tells her to get bent, you racist. Wouldn't that be something? Okay. You know, you assume really bad things, the worst possible interpretations or outcomes of people on the basis of their race, hypothetically or otherwise. It's very telling.
Then when white children become adults, they'll say anything about a person other than their race. You see that person over there in the purple hat and blue shoes and green coat? You mean the Asian one?
Oh, okay. That's a bad thing. Okay.
Why didn't you just say so?
Why didn't you just say so? I mean, I'm getting kind of sad listening to this, honestly.
They know they're Asian, by the way.
Oh, do they? Wow. Yeah. Describing someone across the room or across the way, they know they're Asian, by the way. Oh my gosh.
Imagine instead of shushing their children, Parents normalized our differences.
Normalized our differences. Okay, what does that look like? Do tell.
Maybe this mom says to her child, honey, people are lots of different colors. She holds out her hand and asks, what color are we?
That's all you have to say. Some people have brown hair, some people have red hair, some people have blonde hair. Some people have blue eyes, some people have brown eyes, some people have green eyes. Some people have light skin, some people have dark skin, some people have skin in between. It says nothing about who they are. Everybody's different in some way or another. It's how you treat one another and treat yourself. That's what really matters when it comes to working with other people. Skin color is an irrelevancy. Hair color is an irrelevancy. Eye color is an irrelevancy. What you do, how you treat others, how you behave, how you treat yourself, the content of your character says who you are beyond anything that says what you are. That would be the kind of lessons I would instill in my child if I were a parent.
We're all human. We all bleed.
And yet some people are assessed differently regardless by you.
But that's not what race conversations are about.
Oh, okay. Well, then tell me, what are race conversations about? I've been waiting nearly 7 minutes to find out. Thank you, Andrew James, so much. Oh, the gall of this lady. Yeah, it's something, isn't it? Thank you so much. And thank you, formerly Rod Line. We tell our son different is different. It's not going, it's not bad. It's just different. Yeah. Different doesn't say anything about the person. Tall, short, wide, slim, dark, light, long hair, short hair. It doesn't mean anything. But our speaker really wants us to value skin color. But okay, I am waiting. What do race conversations actually mean? What are they for? How do they operate? I'm dying to know.
They're about the group approach.
What?
The group approach is where we become curious about collective experiences.
Collective experiences. So the mystic cords of memory that attach every person with a particular skin tone to the other person with a particular skin tone. Okay.
What's it like for women to work the same jobs as men but get paid less?
How long have they been working the job? How many hours do they put in? How often have they been assertive enough to ask for a raise? Wage gap. It's a rare instance, but wage gap on the board.
What's it like for people to have disabilities and have to advocate every day for access to opportunities that others take for granted?
Well, thankfully, there are laws that kind of, indemnify, or not indemnify, sorry. The pepper jack's starting to hit my brain. There are laws that disincentivize, that's the word I was looking for, companies and organizations from preventing people who happen to be disabled from opportunities that they can still function in despite their disability. So, there's that a little bit, but okay, moving on.
What's it like to be second, third, fourth generation Asian or Latino and have people tell you you speak such good English?
I don't know. What's that like? What harm is it that you don't decide to take for yourself? How often does it actually happen in the modern day? I don't know. Sticks and stones. What? I don't know.
I met a woman once who said when people tell her she speaks such good English, she says to them, "Thank you. You do too."
Wow, that's pretty sassy and apt. So what? And then what happens?
What's it like to be Black, brown, indigenous?
I don't know. You know why? Because I don't make assumptions about the quality of someone on the basis of their race. I don't make assumptions about the quality of their life, their life experience, or anything else on the basis of their race. I don't know. Because everybody's an individual person. How terrible of me not to make assumptions about someone on the basis of their race. How terrible of me not to value race as a determining factor in how I should assess another person. Boy, oh boy. How terrible of me.
And be killed by police at much higher rates than your white counterparts.
Nonsense.
Even when unarmed.
Unarmed does not equate to not a threat. Nonsense. I am circling leaves out vital context. That is, I've heard that argument so many times. You think an unarmed person is not a threat to another person's life or safety? You think an unarmed person is not a threat to another officer's life or safety? Okay. Nonsense.
Let's take a look at the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh, I wish we would. I would enjoy that. Thank you, Jago Dragon. PSA, don't listen to these while driving because drinking and driving don't mix. Well, I mean, don't drive angry is what I'd say. But certainly, don't drink and drive. If I have to do a PSA, do not drink and drive. Also, don't drive angry. Okay, Black Lives Matter. Do tell.
A group approach to better understand how these other two approaches take us off course, preventing us from moving race conversations forward.
Oh, okay. Well, I am dying to know how Black Lives Matter, since its effective inception in 2012, around the time of the Trayvon Martin case, I am dying to know what Black Lives Matter in the last... You know what? I'll be generous and say that it took a while for it to take off. I'll say since 2016, even though it was earlier than that. What has Black Lives Matter done in the last 4 years to improve race relations? You know, Black Lives Matter, the non-centralized movement that has no particular leadership thing. What has it done to progress race relations in this country in the last 4 years?
A common reaction to Black Lives Matter is all lives matter.
Yes, it is.
Do all lives matter?
Yes.
Of course they do.
But...
And if you're still contemplating whether all lives matter, you're thinking about this way too deeply.
How can I not think about this so deeply when you're about to tell us that we're wrong for thinking deeply?
Yes, all lives matter. Another typical reaction to Black Lives Matter is Blue Lives Matter.
Okay, well, are we talking about the sentiment of Black Lives Matter? Are we talking about the political social organization Black Lives Matter? Because when you don't separate the distinction between the two, you're not making any sense.
Do blue lives matter?
I don't know. You tell me, since you seem to have a certain amount of antipathy towards police officers.
Of course they do.
But
Blue Lives Matter is an example of the third approach white people take to race conversations.
oh, because all police are white. Right. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. She just told us not to think about what she says. I know. Don't think too deeply, guys. We don't want to think too hard about what she's saying. Just listen and believe. That's much easier. Requires a lot less work on your part. It's fine. It's okay.
It reminds me of times when my husband and I will argue.
Oh, uh-oh. Husband and I will argue. That's a family anecdote. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Guys, do you know what that means? Well, I am proud to show you what it does.
Bingo.
What? Of course!
Oh my gosh, we got a bingo! Yay! And there you have it, the new bingo alert video. Did you enjoy that? I hope you enjoyed that. I worked on that today. I made that today. Okay, well, we have hit our first bingo. It's entirely possible we'll get to another. In fact, I think I'll just use that new one for this entire episode for any other bingos we get, just because I'm proud of it. It's brief, but it's good. I like it. Kieverdam, no Jack Daniels to go with the Dr. Pepper. The Jack Daniels is off screen. I didn't find a good place to put it, but there's at least one other item hidden in that picture if you spot it. But all right. So your husband and you, what was it again? Let me back up a second or three.
Conversations.
Yeah.
It reminds me of times when my husband and I will argue. I'll tell him something he does bothers me.
Yeah.
He'll defend himself by saying, well, what about when you do?
Yeah.
And he'll start listing off all these things that I do that bother him, but have nothing to do with what I was trying to bring to his attention.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe you're not willing to admit that you yourself have foibles, which in and of itself might be a foible. Might be putting it lightly.
This takes the focus away from my concern and places it on his.
Yeah. Maybe because you're being unfair. Does it ever occur to you that you might be unfair in your criticisms? At all? Does the possibility not occur at all?
Listen.
Yes.
I can't imagine what it would be like to have a job that was so dangerous. Every time I left for work, I didn't know if I would ever see my family again.
You can't imagine that. Okay. So not being able to imagine such a scenario, you are unable or unwilling to extend some measure of the benefit of the doubt to circumstances and scenarios you couldn't possibly imagine, but might be able to see at least simulated in television shows or documentaries. Oh, okay. All right. And then?
But the saying Blue Lives Matter wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, you know why that is? Do you know why that is? Well, I'll tell you why that is. Because there is a video of Black Lives Matter protesters marching down a freeway, holding up signs and chanting, "Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon." Amongst a multitude of other chants about killing cops and other variants thereof. You're right. The Blue Lives Matter motto would not exist if Black Lives Matter were not reducing police down to killable targets. If it wasn't for Dallas and the police officers who were assassinated by a black supremacist, you're right. Blue Lives Matter probably wouldn't have picked up any steam. You're correct. So Blue Lives Matter has Black Lives Matter to thank for needing to remind people that police officers are humans too? Oh, golly gee whiz. You're right. Thank you, Pecoraro the Driving Ape Man. I do that every day. What makes her special? I don't know. I'm assuming her skin color because she really wants me to value her skin color when assessing her. But I don't because I'm just listening to what she has to say.
It is a reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement, and it is another group.
It is a demographic, not a group. And it is a reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement because the Black Lives Matter movement has vilified police officers as an institution. The Black Lives Matter movement has, individually or collectively, depending on which unorganized group you're talking about within the movement, called for the deaths of police officers. You are very correct. It is a reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement and their messaging and their ideology. You are very, very correct.
Black people were never questioning whether Blue Lives Matter, nor were we suggesting that all police are bad.
You're correct. Black the demographic were not doing so. Black Lives Matter, the movement and collective thereof, were and are.
In fact, Blue Lives Matter fails to recognize that Black people also have loved ones in our lives.
What are you talking about? Also, it's interesting that you decide to associate Black Lives Matter, the political social movement, with all Black people. Because I am sure that all Black people agree with Black Lives Matter, and that you, based on your skin color, are positioned very specifically to speak on behalf of all Black people. Wow.
Who are in law enforcement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And besides, people are not born blue.
Oh, okay. What are they born as?
The Black Lives Matter movement is about structural racism.
I'm going to circle systemic institutional because it's practically the same thing. Okay.
If we are ever going to effectively address race, racism, and race relations in this country, it means we must also talk about what it means to be white.
Okay. Tell me what it means to be white. Tell me what unifies me with every other white person beyond the aesthetic. I am dying to know, what does it mean to be white? I've lived my entire life and I have absolutely no idea. Because I keep seeing who look like me, who are in completely different circumstances than I am. I keep seeing people who look like me who do completely different things than I do. So what unifies us all? What does it mean to be white? I am dying to know.
Our white brothers and sisters and non-binary friends struggle with this.
What does gender have to do with this? Why are you bringing up non-binary? What? You are all about race. Why do you keep bringing up non-binary? Backing up a little bit because I did cut her off.
Means to be white.
Yes, tell me.
Our white brothers and sisters and non-binary friends struggle with this. They're not used to looking at themselves as a part of a racial group.
Why do I have to look at myself as part of a racial group? By the way, it's not a group, it's a demographic. They are two different things. I'm half inspired to change out one of the squares on the board to group versus demographic, since we see that so often on here. But okay. We struggle with this. We struggle with seeing ourselves as a racial group. God, isn't that terrible that we don't identify with our race? If you're being truthful. Because we really should be identifying on the basis of our race. Because, you know, racial identity, white identity was such a popular thing back in the 90s in the militia movement that led to the Oklahoma City bombing. You know, white identity, the Ku Klux Klan and their derivatives, you know, the good part of being white.
If you are white, one way you can assess whether taking the group approach to race conversations is difficult for you. Examine how you felt hearing me say white people 15 times throughout this talk.
How did I feel? I don't know. How would you feel if I made grand assumptions and generalizations about behavior and mindset on the basis of your race? What if I said, I don't know, all black people are, and insert whatever pejorative you can think of. Or when black people do X, they are Y. What if I said something like that as a white person? How would you assess me? Not on the basis of my race, mind you, but on the basis of my rhetoric as an individual. How would you assess me? What words might you use to describe me if I were to make glittering generalizations about you based on nothing more than your skin color? Redneck Rand, thank you so much. I'll thank her to shut up with trying to collectivize me. And I know who I am. I don't need to know what being white means to me. Well, I don't either, but I am dying to know how she sees the rest of the world. Because at the core, and I do mean this sincerely, at the core of this series and basically every other video on my YouTube channel, even if I'm being in opposition in my sarcasm and otherwise, I am on a level trying to understand what they are saying, why they are saying it, and what they mean. Whoever it is. Doesn't matter their skin color. It matters their ideas. It matters what they represent insofar as ideology or thought process. Because as individual as our speaker is, I have no doubt, for I have seen it many times, that what she is saying is common amongst many people. So in that wise, she is representative of something, a thought process, a philosophy. And her spin on it may be unique, which is why I listen and I analyze and I assess on what she says, not on what she is.
And I'm not even finished yet.
Oh, I do not doubt you're finished yet. We've still got 5 minutes left in this talk.
You may have thought to yourself, I'm not like that. Why is she trying to make us feel guilty for being white?
Because it's a lucrative career opportunity.
Or maybe you shifted the focus to your own marginalized group.
Oh, marginalization, circling that on the board. Oh boy. Oh, we just need her to say privilege, guys. We just need her to say privilege one time. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. I think we can safely say that everyone in this chat is actually anti-racist, proved by the vast disagreement with everything she is saying. Love chat. You know, in the literal definition of anti-racist, I would agree with you. However, it is the unfortunate truth that the phrase anti-racist has been co-opted into meaning a confession to being a racist. And if you're new here and you don't believe me on that basis, please look up my TEDXcellence regarding Ibram X. Kendi on the difference between racist and anti-racist, where he specifically says that is what anti-racism is. Anti-racism is confession. Racism is denial, because racism is a constant that everyone possesses. It is the original sin of that belief system. So I appreciate the sentiment, Mr. Tickletrunk. Unfortunately, the language has been co-opted already. Moving on.
What she needs to be talking about is gender equality. Poverty is the real issue. What about disabilities? Nobody seems to be talking about that.
Oh, yeah. I never hear anybody talking about gender equality. I never hear anybody talking about ableism and onward and onward. You're right. I never hear those things. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Well, maybe you should. I don't know. Why don't you do that instead? Why is this so important to you? Why is race so important to you?
Or maybe you went to your relationships. I dated a black guy as proof you're not like one of those white people I've been talking about.
Oh, so that isn't proof? What I wonder, what would amount to proof in our speaker's eyes? You know, if she accused someone or just assumed someone to be racist on the basis of their skin color, mind you, what would be proof to her? What would, I don't know, convince her to the contrary? I wonder. Because, you know, having children that aren't white or not entirely white isn't enough. Being romantically involved with someone who isn't white isn't enough. I wonder what it would take for our speaker to believe truly that a white person isn't inherently a racist.
This, in part, is what it means to have white privilege.
Oh my God, she said it. Oh my God, guys. We got a twofer.
Bingo. What? Of course!
Oh my gosh. I didn't think, you know, I honestly thought we would dodge it. I thought that we'd go the whole rest without anything else, but we got it. Double bingo. Oh, and we still have 4 minutes left. Who knows what she's going to say next? Thank you, Killer Turnus. This is bull. Finish watching in a bit. I can understand stamina running out on this. This is very, very infuriating to listen to. Because all you have to do, just in your mind, if you're listening to this, just take everything that she said so far about white people, replace it with black people, and imagine yourself standing on a stage and saying that black people think this way. When black people do XYZ PDQ, they think this way, they do this. Black people this, black people that. If you think that someone saying the exact same script as her, but replacing the word white with black would be kind of racist, you would be right. So 4 minutes to go.
The individual white you is innocent until you prove yourself guilty.
Prove myself guilty. Okay.
People of color rarely get to be seen as individuals.
Really? Oh. Okay.
We are guilty until we prove ourselves innocent.
You have just gone on several instances now of citing the hypothetical, which I don't think is very hypothetical in your perspective, encountering a white person, accusing them or categorizing them in some way, shape, or form as being a racist, and them trying to convince you to the contrary by saying, my children aren't white. I've dated people who aren't white. My friends aren't white, and so on. You have convicted them immediately And nothing that they can say will convince you to the contrary. That is, wow. That is cognitive dissonance on parade right there. Okay.
When white people go to the universal, to the individual, or deflect the conversation to another group experience, they're actually colluding with racism.
Okay, well, gosh, you really know how white people operate. Wow. Thank you, Asian hippie. I think you need some goldfish. I don't know if I need more salt in my diet right now, but thank you, Asian hippie. And well, I have goldfish in the kitchen. But we'll get to those later. Thank you again, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Again, it really bums me out that she's been convinced to hate herself in the way. I wish she could let this go and see how the world changes for her. You know, whether our speaker is black or white, anyone who possesses this mindset about other people on the basis of something that is aesthetic, I am morbidly curious to know how they move through the world, how they operate, what goes on internally when they cite a person of that demographic that so scares them or infuriates them with no other information about that person except what they can see. Morbidly curious. I don't want to know, but I remain curious, which is why I keep doing these things.
The conversation becomes about whether all lives matter, how your one friend is all the proof you need to discredit an entire group's experience.
Discredit an entire group's experience. Discredit your accusation of being a terrible person. It doesn't, an entire group. It's not a group, it's a demographic. And you cannot speak for an entire demographic or assume to know the experiences of an entire demographic. You are doing that all on your own. You may like to think that you are connected to everyone you see with a similar skin tone by some mystic cord of memory. You might like to think that you have elevated yourself to some position of knowledge and wisdom, fueled by nothing more than your melanin count. But I hate to tell you this. You stand alone. You are not representative of anyone but yourself. It's, oh, man.
Or how the lives of police matter too. All the while, when it comes to Black, brown, and indigenous people,
Yeah.
people are shooting first and asking questions later.
People. Really? Asking questions later. I saw a video recently. Actually, well, no, I mean this is several videos recently. There's a couple of channels on YouTube where you can find body cam footage of police as it's released publicly. I think it's Police Live Video or something like that. There's several on YouTube. And out of my morbid curiosity, because I do possess it, I've watched several videos in the last month or so when they've popped up on my feed of shootings that were fatal for the suspect involved. And in each and every one, the police officers, again and again and again, shout warnings to the person. Express their reluctance to want to do anything to this person. Try to talk this person down over and over and over. And the suspects aren't always Black. And the suspects aren't always white. Because police officers, in general terms, have no interest in taking someone else's life. But apparently, our speaker thinks that cops do. That's they want to do. They want to do that. Now, you'll say, and you'd be correct in saying, some cops do, or some cops have acted rashly, or even acted aggressively or maliciously. It's true. But does our speaker want to individualize people or collectivize people? Well, obviously she wants to collectivize people. That's how she makes sense of the. It's easier that way. You don't have to think too hard. You don't have to assess individual merit when you can just say, this demographic is X and this demographic is Y. Yeah, don't think too hard. She told us that earlier. Don't think too hard. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. I just want to hug her and say it's okay. You're valuable. It might help. And thank you, Dark Resurrect. Is the idea of individualism foreign to her? It's too much work to assess individual people, individual situations. It is so much easier and so much more profitable and so much more powerful to just make grand assumptions without having to think too hard. That's the lesson here.
And I mean that figuratively and literally.
Okay, I got to back up because I don't know what she's talking about. I forgot in the midst of it all.
Brown and indigenous people are shooting first and asking questions later. And I mean that figuratively and literally.
Yeah, okay.
John T. Williams, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Jacob Blake.
Jacob Blake, who was violating a restraining order, fighting with police officers and reaching for a knife as cops told him to stand down. Okay.
William Green, Mike Ramos were all guilty first.
No, they were not. If I weightless example. Jacob Blake for sure, Breonna Taylor for second. No. Thank you, Pecoraro, Driving 8 Man. All justified interactions. Yeah? Well, no. Ahmaud Arbery was not a justified interaction. Ahmaud Arbery was hunted down by those guys on very shaky grounds. Some of her examples are worthy of examination. Some of her examples are not. But I'll just take the one because that's the one that I know the most about off the top of my head. Jacob Blake is not an example of guilty first.
Their race a threat, the given of their humanity disregarded, ignored, forgotten. Their individualism negated.
Horse hockey.
Dismantling structural racism means we must acknowledge it exists.
Assume it exists. Assume.
Talk about the impact on the lives of people of color. Work together to pull it apart piece by peace. But that won't happen as long as our white brothers and sisters and non-binary friends aren't willing to admit race matters.
What does non-binary have to do with this? Non-binary people are in the same category as white people to you? You do understand that non-binary has nothing to do with race, don't you? And Mr. Tickle Trunk says, list. Yep, that would be a list. She did list off a bunch of people who ended up dead in one way, shape, or form from interaction with other people. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, bingo. What bingo? Did I miss a bingo? I don't see another bingo unless I'm completely blind here. I got the one on the bottom. I got the one on the side. We don't have a diagonal yet. So I don't think I'm missing a bingo. Until she talks about feminism. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Brothers and sisters are male, female. She's including no binary to include non-male, female feeling people. Okay, but if she just says white people, that covers all the bases, doesn't it? But okay, I'll take your interpretation. I'm still bewildered why she decides to bring it up, because by saying, yeah, okay, all right, maybe it makes some sense. I don't know.
So what can white people do?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like nothing we do helps. You know, if we're romantically involved with someone who's not white, if our kids aren't completely white, if we have friends who aren't white, there doesn't seem to be anything we can do. What can we do? I've been waiting this entire talk for you to tell us what white people can do to move race conversations forward. So let me have it.
Deconstruct how you've been socialized and reconstruct a new way of being.
If I hadn't already circled word salad, I'd be circling word salad.
Rather than seeing differences as negative or pretending you don't notice at all, recognize that it is our differences that make America great.
How about relevant differences? Can I modify it a little bit? Can I refine the notion a little bit? Relevant differences? Differences in thought, differences in philosophy, differences in skill, experience, you know, those intangibles that make up who someone is, and not differences that say nothing about who they are. Can I go that direction? Speaker, can I go that direction instead? I prefer to go that way.
Become aware of this. Acknowledge your whiteness and the privileges it holds.
Uh-huh.
Take the time to learn about diverse group experiences and listen and believe the stories we tell you.
Listen and believe. Wow. It's rare that I ever hear that said in its totality out loud. Listen and believe. Don't think too hard. Don't ask questions. Don't doubt. Listen and believe. Diverse, she said it. You're right. You're right. Diversity and inclusion, circling that one. All right.
Learn to become comfortable with the discomfort.
Yeah, live in perpetual discomfort. Live in perpetual pain and agony. Okay, because I'm white. Okay.
Lean into it. Feel it.
Lean into my whiteness? Lean into my discomfort? Why? I don't like being uncomfortable. I'll just be over here not worrying about other people's race.
Wonder where it's coming from.
It's coming from you. My discomfort is coming from you, not because of what you look like, but because you are vilifying me on the basis of my race. Can you imagine for a moment what it must be like to be a person who is assessed and vilified and denigrated on the basis of their race? Can you imagine? And if you can, why would you want to be that person?
Unpack institutional, systemic, and structural racism.
Okay, well, if I hadn't already circled systemic and institutional, it would be circled now, so that just verifies it more.
And then join us in taking action to advocate for change.
I am being the change I want to see. Best I can do. I am not going to go to your meetings. I'm not going to go to your political rallies. I'm not going to join an organization that's called for the deaths of police officers or who vilifies me on the basis of my skin color. I'm just not going to do it. So instead, I will live my life working towards and practicing the principles I believe in. That's my effort. You don't like it? Too bad.
Because yes, we're all human. And yes, we all bleed.
But
that's why Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. If you happen to be white, you just had your education laid out before you as to what is important and what you need to do to improve the world. Here's the bingo card as it stands. Let's go over it one more time for myself, and then if you guys have any arguments for squares to be circled, let me know after that. Anecdote that probably never happened. I believe she fought with her husband and believes that she does no wrong. I believe that anecdote. I believe that she was at a workshop and someone got smart-mouthed with her, probably because she was condescending to them the whole time, and he was trying to make a point about how race is irrelevant, and she decided to be racist back. I believe that anecdote. And those are the only anecdotes that she really brought up. So, again, you're going to have to give me a really good argument otherwise. Self-vilification or wretchedness? No. At no point. White supremacy? Surprisingly enough, she never said the words. I would need a miracle argument to get me to circle that one. Equity? No. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase? Nope, she didn't have any phrases she was pushing. Patriarchy? No. Feminism? No. So that's where we're at right now as far as my estimation. We're at a double bingo. We are only a couple squares away from maybe an additional bingo, but I'll leave that to you. So next couple minutes, guys, is up to you to convince me I should circle any other squares. And they better be good arguments because we are down to the wire on a couple of these, and they got to be really good. X4390247. Scribe, can we add a square for whispered seriousness? It was the third most annoying thing about that talk. We used to have a square called, what was it? Over dramatizing something. I forget exactly what the word was. It was such a subjective thing. It was difficult to circle on an irregular basis. So yeah, we're slowly whittling this down to very specific and identifiable phrases or concepts. Things that are ambiguous or up for debate, trying to reduce those as much as possible. Kieverdam, feminism and or patriarchy, what it is like to work a man's job as a woman. Wage Gap covered that one. She talked about pay in that instance. I don't recall her going any further beyond that. Wage Gap already took that one. So check your lie. Describe. She said gender equality. Isn't that feminism? Oh. Yes. Okay. Since it's not Wait, no, it is a bingo. Oh, God, it is a bingo square. Oh, man. Okay, chat, and I need your brutally honest opinion. I am on the fence. I need your brutally honest assessment. Is simply bringing up the phrase gender equality enough to count as feminism? You know, you could say egalitarianism is just as valid, but okay, I will leave it up to you guys. If you think that feminism is counted with the phrase gender equality, put a 1 in the chat. If you do not think so, put a 2. Okay, and I need you to be honest about this, not just for the sake of getting, we've already got 2 bingos. We're not lacking for bingos. So 1, if you think gender equality is inherently feminism, 2, if not. I got a 1, I got a 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, I can't honestly say that simply saying that phrase equates to a feminist philosophy. Okay, egalitarianism could easily be said as well. She didn't bring up, the patriarchy. She didn't bring up the preponderance of men. She brought up the pay difference. We already did wage gap. There has to be something else, and that I don't think it counts. And I appreciate all of your estimates. I appreciate that. I appreciate your honesty as well, as tough as it is. I do appreciate it. Okay, so feminism, I think, is out of the running. So unless you guys have buzzword, buzz phrase, and I don't think so. She never said white supremacy. You could make an argument in the aggregate, but when we get down to the last square for a bingo, I really need either an amazing argument or an example of her saying the words. She never said the words. Asian hippie, she was using non-binary as a buzzword, but it wasn't a new buzzword or buzz phrase. She wasn't pushing something like what I like to call, whatever. Or putting something up on a card or something or whatever. No, it doesn't count. Lexi Mads, this woman is woke as fuck. She definitely not going to say MRA or egalitarianism for gender equity. Yeah, I know. Let's see. X3 when she talked about that bus thing, she used normalizing diversity. Well, I already circled diversity and inclusion, so I already circled that one. Is that not up there? Yeah, that's up there. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we've already covered diversity and inclusion. Okay, she said privilege. Yep. She directed it at whites. Yep. For the last 6 goddamn minutes. That is white supremacy, scribe. I understand what you're saying. I do. And if white supremacy was not the last square for 2 more bingos, I would agree. But I mean, trust me, I'm struggling with it too, because the entire talk. Zeke Weiss, I would start the argument for white supremacy was that last 5 minutes, but needs to be built on it. It is a start, but alone may be weak. Zach Osborne, she ballet danced around white supremacy the entire talk, but didn't address it directly. Okay. I am again on the fence. Okay. If you think that the totality of this talk equates to a declaration of white supremacy, put 1 in the chat. If you don't think that it meets the threshold, put a 2. 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. All right. I have heard you. I have listened. And I have believed. So with that, this happens.
Bingo.
What?
Of course!
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
We have 2 more bingos. Quadruple bingo. All right. Never let it be said that I wasn't willing to hear an argument, and that I try my best to be as balanced and fair as I can. Thank you, Andrew James, for the communistic thumbs up. I appreciate it. But with that, everyone. Oh, Asian Hippie says, I saw the goldfish in the ring, Scribe Light. That's right. I did hide a goldfish in the new bingo. Mystery, wait, equity wasn't said either? No, she said equality. She never brought up equity or equality of outcome or anything like that. And it doesn't matter anyway. If you'd like to circle it on your own, by all means. But I think 4 bingos is a pretty good run for this talk, if any TEDx talk. And now I need to rest my brain. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this one. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so very much for your argumentation and participation. It's most of the show. Thank you so much for that. Everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. It really will go towards horrible things I'll put into my body like goldfish crackers and Jack Daniels, which I will need to insulate my brain from the next TEDXcellence. If you'd like to hear more from me or the Ranting Monkey or Satsu 2 Cents, you can find all 3 of us tonight on the Ranting Monkeys channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for The Lords of the Night, where we will talk about the news of the day, news stories that you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, I hope you all have a good rest of your Saturday and weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. For those of you that are about to go off into La La Land for holidays and the like, I wish you all happy holidays, safe travels, and all the best to your family. And as always, thank you for watching.